there's a problem, I think it's that more and more over the years, our government has become dysfunctional, and as a result, had to rely upon the Fed to act. Right? There are better ways to do things in every crisis, but look, I think it's hard not to be dispirited when you look at our leaders today. Let's not get into politics. Most people can guess mine pretty easily, but I will tell you that it's just shocking how our great country has become run in such a ridiculous way. And so what's ended up happening in the last two crises is that you've had the Fed essentially was the only guy there who actually had the ability to go and act without dysfunctionality and fighting, right? At least in the financial crisis, frankly, at the beginning, we saw this firsthand. I mean, I think there are many people that, I knew in government that was on the phone with all the time. At least in 2008, I think what George Bush did incredibly well was to set politics aside that fall and say to his team, Hank Paulson and others, do what needs to be done. And so for some handful of months, there was a real partnership among government leaders. That broke down pretty quickly once you got to 2009. This time around, it never even started, right? And so good news is at least the crisis was so dire that there was some fiscal response. But look, I think ultimately, I think in this country, if we rely on the Fed to be the fireman all the time, and the Fed only has a couple of tools, then anyone who is a beneficiary of those tools is going to end up being better off. But the Fed can't just write checks and send them off to people in the way the government can. And so all it can do is reflate asset prices, and that creates more and more inequality, right? So how do you solve it? It's not, the Fed's doing all it can. The problem is to not always force the Fed to be the only guy to do something to get our political act and house in order so that we can actually show some competence in how you act in crises and not just rely upon the Fed.